As I entered the unit that day, the staff said, "Donna, have you heard about Sonia?" And I said, "No." And they began to share with me the traumatic injury that occurred to Sonia Wright. She had been hit in the head aggressively with a claw hammer. We had lost some tissue, and we were aggressively treating her. And by that I mean that she had a ventriculostomy in, that we had put her on a pentabarb drip. Actually, the assessment prior to putting her to an induced coma revealed no spontaneous movement, no responsiveness at all.
Probably the most difficult time was the next morning when 11 to 7 left work. I spent some time with them, and Sonia had been their assistant nurse manager, and they felt a very special bond with Sonia. She was their advocate, the one that looked out for them, and several of them were fairly new nurses, and they were very dependent on Sonia.
They said she wasn't going to live. There's no way, but they needed to do surgery on her head. She was laid there with her head busted open and her brains hanging out, and Dr. Robertson did a procedure on her, and when they got through, they said that she wasn't going to live.
However, Sonia had a great bigger heart and drive to live than what we realized. And the Lord said He wasn't through with her here yet either. Because about 7 days after we went through all those processes of what nurses and doctors do to make people feel better, on the 13th, Sonia opened her eyes spontaneously. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot to us as nurses because we want more to happen. And she wasn't tracking yet, but it was a start. And so we began to aggressively really watch her neurological status and watch what she did. And as the days progressed, each day something new happened. She began to track with her eyes. And then she began to move her left side. Now, having been hit in the right side of her head, that took away all the movement of her right side. And because of where she was hit and because of where the damage was, it also got rid of her speech, or so we thought. But she began to continually improve, and all of a sudden she began to move her left hand and her left leg spontaneously and then to command, which is huge. That meant that everything was beginning to work upstairs. She knew what we were asking her to do, and she was following those commands. It was a very exciting time. However, it was also a very stressful time in that we knew that, or we thought we knew, that she would not be able to walk again or feed herself or speak. But went ahead and got a rehab consult. And through that process, we got her extubated. We started the process. And she didn't speak while she was right here in the unit, but we actually began to see her make some effort to move the right side of her body, particularly her right leg first. And as that process went, we got her up in the bed and she progressed on to rehab.
I went to see her when she was in rehab, and I walked in the room, and Sonia was, she was looking at me, and she was smiling at me, and she knew me. She couldn't say anything, but she knew who I was, and we were able to communicate, and that was exciting.
I guess the end of that story, it would be this. Sometimes what we expect to be an awful and an ending result of someone's life is not the case. Let me share just this piece of information with you. Sonia has been to visit us several times. Once in a wheelchair, once she walked back on the unit. However, about 3 weeks ago, I ran into her. I was going to have lunch at Cypress Inn with my sister and my niece. And as we were going in, Sonia was coming out. And she was coming out and coming down the steps without the assistance of her mom. She was holding on to the rail. And she and I had a conversation where she verbalized back to me that she was doing well. I am so thankful that we don't give up on folks. Even when we feel like that it's the last thing, there are no options. There are always options. And she is a beautiful result of that. And I'm glad she's a part of the DCH family. And I'm glad that our unit had the chance to be a part of her life and her continued life.
The personal difficulties that we all have, it doesn't compare to what she has dealt with and to what she has overcome. We have new employees now who never met Sonia, but they still hear about Sonia and they know what she has overcome, and she's an inspiration to all of us. But through all of this, I still see that we are a family, and I think there's a bond on our unit that we're very blessed to have. And there's several reasons for that bond, but Sonia plays a significant role in that, because the day of that injury, it brought us all together in a way that we had never come together before.
Dr. Robertson said there's no medical reason for Sonia to be alive. So you have to call that God's miracle, DCH's miracle. And I know it's probably hard for people to really believe in miracles. And I'm really proud to be part of this one. I get to watch it every single day. She amazes me.